The story in Buffalo keeps evolving, and if you thought yesterday's discussion gave you the full picture, think again. New details are coming in from Orchard Park, and they paint a clearer image of what's really happening inside this team. Before we dive into the latest headlines, remember, before listening to the latest news, subscribe to the channel, like it, and don't forget to press the bell icon. Let's move on to the new news. Now, let's talk about the heart of today's update, the Bills' injury situation. Defensive tackle Ed Oliver has been a key absence for Buffalo. He missed the game against the Patriots despite being active in practice throughout the week, a move that raised eyebrows across the fan base. The Bills' defensive front clearly felt that loss, struggling to contain New England's rookie quarterback Drake May, who found too much freedom when the pocket collapsed. Head coach Sean McDermott addressed the situation, saying he's hopeful Oliver will be back for Week 6's Monday Night Football clash against the Atlanta Falcons. That extra day of rest could be exactly what the defensive line needs to reset and regain its rhythm. For now, Oliver is expected to return to practice in a limited capacity, with plans to gradually ramp up his workload throughout the week. It's not a guarantee, but this is the first positive sign that Buffalo's interior defense could soon get its powerhouse back in action. When it comes to Ed Oliver's injury, the details remain clouded in mystery. The official word is that he got stepped on during practice, but beyond that, no one really knows how it happened or who was involved. Even Oliver tried to laugh it off, joking about wild theories floating around about his horse. But behind the humor lies a genuine concern: how severe is this ankle issue, and how much longer can Buffalo afford to be without him? The Bills have already been without Oliver for 4 games this season, and that's no small thing. His presence in the middle of the defense changes everything, from pressure on the quarterback to run-stopping efficiency. The silver lining, though, is Sean McDermott's optimism. The head coach remains hopeful that Oliver can make his long-awaited return when Buffalo faces the Atlanta Falcons on Monday night. If that happens, it could give this defense the emotional and physical lift it desperately needs. But the bad news doesn't stop there, because Matt Milano has re-entered the injury spotlight. The linebacker left the game against New England midway through the first half, aggravating that same pectoral injury that has been haunting him for weeks. And for Bills fans, this feels all too familiar. Milano has battled through injuries for multiple seasons now, never quite finding the rhythm that made him an All-Pro a few years ago. The team officially lists him as week to week, but anyone following closely can sense the underlying message: Milano won't be ready for Week 6. And then comes the tough decision, with a Week 7 bye on the horizon, followed by a matchup against Carolina. Is it even worth risking Milano's health before facing the powerhouse Kansas City Chiefs? Buffalo knows that rushing him back too early could cost far more down the line. Right now, the Bills are in a balancing act, trying to heal their stars without losing their edge. Every decision from here on will shape how this team looks heading into the heart of the season. At this point, it seems almost certain that Matt Milano will miss at least the next 2 games. The Bills' bye week sits between them, offering a small window for recovery, but the bigger picture raises tougher questions. Linebackers coach Bobby Babich recently spoke on Milano's situation, describing just how frustrating this has been for the veteran linebacker. "He does everything right," Babich said. "He takes care of his body, he trains the right way, but when things like this happen, you can't let negativity creep in. It doesn't help the healing process. It's an important reminder that this isn't about effort or dedication, it's about the toll of the game." The good news? Sean McDermott confirmed that Milano will not be placed on injured reserve, which means Buffalo expects him back at some point soon. The bad news? He's still likely out for multiple weeks, and that creates a ripple effect across the entire defense. Milano's situation also brings a harsh reality into focus, with his contract expiring after this season, and with his durability continuing to be a major concern. This could be the final chapter of his career in Buffalo. As talented as he is, the team can't keep living in this cycle of waiting, hoping, and watching injuries derail their defensive rhythm year after year. And just when the Bills hoped to avoid more bad news, Connor McGovern appeared on the sideline nursing a hand injury. The offensive lineman never left the game against New England, but cameras caught him receiving medical attention for what looked like a deep laceration on his snapping hand. The middle knuckle on his right hand, the one that controls both grip and snap timing, was heavily wrapped in gauze and tape. For now, the team is calling his status day-to-day, but the concern is real. That's not an injury you can simply ignore when you're responsible for both protecting the quarterback and handling the football on every play. Buffalo has been hit hard by the injury bug this season. The roster remains stacked with talent, but each week brings another test of depth, endurance, and faith. For the Bills, the next man up mentality isn't just a slogan, it's survival. For Connor McGovern, the challenge isn't just the pain, it's the precision. His right hand, the snapping hand, suffered a nasty cut across the second knuckle, and unlike some linemen, he doesn't wear gloves. That makes things complicated. Every time he grips the football or throws a block, the pressure falls directly on that injured spot. The concern isn't only whether he can handle the ball, but whether that wound can hold up without reopening under game day contact. The Bills' medical staff is hopeful that the laceration will heal in time for Monday night's matchup against Atlanta. Sean McDermott doesn't expect McGovern to miss any time, but it's still a situation the team is watching closely. With this offensive line among the most cohesive units in football, even one missing piece can disrupt chemistry with Josh Allen. Buffalo's protection relies heavily on rhythm, and McGovern's role at center is the heartbeat of that system. Across the board, maintaining a fully healthy offensive line has been one of Buffalo's quiet strengths this year. But in this league, one injury can change the entire dynamic. Now, shifting over to rookie defensive tackle T.J. Sanders, there's cautious optimism, but also a hint of frustration. Sanders, who appeared late on the injury report last week with a knee issue, was inactive against New England. According to McDermott, he's day-to-day and trending toward being ready for Week 6, yet his absence raised some eyebrows. Sanders came into Buffalo as a second-round pick, expected to contribute early, but his impact has been muted. When you invest that kind of draft capital in a young defender, you want to see flashes of dominance, the kind that makes you believe the future is already here. Instead, it's been more of a wait-and-see story. The encouraging news is that McDermott hasn't ruled him out for Monday, which means Sanders could get another chance to show why the Bills believed in him. For a team already stretched thin by injuries, any injection of youth and energy on the defensive line could be exactly what this roster needs. Buffalo is learning a hard truth about this NFL season: talent gets you far, but staying healthy determines how far you actually go. The Buffalo Bills' depth on defense is being pushed to its limit, and the timing couldn't be worse. While the offense continues to show flashes of brilliance, the defense is fighting to stay intact, piece by piece. Let's start up front. T.J. Sanders, though not yet a dominant run stopper, has shown one thing the Bills desperately need: the ability to collapse the pocket and get after the quarterback. Buffalo's defense struggled to finish plays against New England, and that's where Sanders' skill set could become invaluable. The team needs that interior disruption to help close out drives and protect leads late in games. But the bigger blow comes from rookie cornerback Dorian Strong, who has officially landed on injured reserve with a neck injury. It's a tough, sobering update. Head coach Sean McDermott revealed that Strong is seeing specialists for further evaluation, and for now, nothing is being ruled out, not even the possibility that he could miss the remainder of his rookie season. That news hit hard in Buffalo. Strong was one of the most promising young defenders on this roster, a player with the length, instincts, and physicality to develop into a future starter. Neck injuries are nothing to take lightly, and the organization is handling it with extreme caution. Meanwhile, cornerback Max Hairston remains sidelined on injured reserve. His 21-day practice window is expected to open around Week 8, meaning a realistic return might not come until Week 11. The question then becomes, what version of Hairston will the Bills get back? Can he shake off the rust quickly enough to regain his spot and stabilize a secondary that has been inconsistent at best? Right now, the Bills' defensive backfield is a mix of talent and uncertainty. They've shown flashes, but the injuries have taken their toll. Buffalo simply needs more pressure up front, more coverage discipline, and more consistency at corner. Because when one player, like Stefon Diggs, has to practically carry the team with sheer willpower, it's a signal that something deeper needs fixing. The Bills can't keep relying on heroic efforts from their stars. They need health, depth, and defensive reliability, and they need it fast. Even with Drake May showing flashes of brilliance for New England, the night belonged to Stefon Diggs, the only reason Buffalo even had a chance. His effort, his intensity, and his refusal to quit kept the Bills competitive despite a flood of mistakes on both sides of the ball. It's no exaggeration to say that without Diggs, Buffalo's loss might have been far uglier. But the issues surrounding this team go deeper than one bad night. The cornerback position has become a growing concern. With Tre'Davious White clearly not at his peak, the Bills' secondary has looked vulnerable, especially against quick-release quarterbacks. The injuries to Max Hairston and Dorian Strong only compound the issue, leaving the defense short-handed and uncertain about who can step up as a true CB2. That uncertainty has fueled speculation that Buffalo might be exploring trade options to reinforce the secondary. It's a move that could prove critical if this team wants to stay in the AFC playoff race and avoid relying solely on shootouts to win games. Then comes the other headline that caught everyone's attention: rookie wide receiver Keon Coleman being benched during the opening series against the Patriots. It raised eyebrows, and naturally, questions followed. Sean McDermott addressed the situation but kept his explanation vague, calling it a coaching decision. However, sources close to the team suggest it had less to do with talent and more to do with discipline and preparation. Coleman reportedly missed a few key reads in the team's walkthroughs during the week, leading the staff to make an early statement. It wasn't about punishment, it was about accountability. McDermott's message was clear: on this roster, every rep, every snap, every detail matters. Coleman eventually got his chance later in the game, and while his numbers didn't jump off the stat sheet, his attitude reportedly improved. Coaches praised his focus after the benching, noting that he responded the right way. For Buffalo, moments like this define a locker room. They reveal who's willing to learn, who's willing to fight through adversity, and who will step up when the lights are brightest. Right now, the Bills are battling more than just injuries, they're fighting for rhythm, for leadership, and for the identity that once made them one of the most feared teams in football. And as this season unfolds, one thing has become crystal clear: if Buffalo wants to reclaim its dominance, it must find balance, between talent and discipline, stars and depth, and potential and execution.